Thank you. Thank you. Paul, I couldn't talk Paul out of doing this because I'm not leaving for another, till the end of the year, but he said this is your last conference. So I originally wasn't going to come to the conference, but he promised me, he says, no, you got to come. He says, he says, we're going to have it near the golf. And so I thought, okay, and I brought my golf clubs. And I realized that he was speaking about the Gulf of Mexico. Siva, thank you for those very, very kind words, and thank you all for your applause. As Confucius, the Chinese philosopher, once said, choose a job that you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So I came to the IB because I was in love with everything the IB stood for. I felt then, and I continue to feel now, that it's the greatest educational experience in the world. It has the best programs in the world. And I thought I could bring some value to helping the organization ensure that it had the tools, the resources, and the capabilities to fulfill its potential, to fulfill its mission, not only for the present, but for the future. Yesterday, one of the concepts, well, throughout the conference, we've heard a lot of the themes and concepts that have been reinforced, but one of the ones that came to mind was the concept learning how to learn. And Cristobal Cobo's charts yesterday, I was fascinated by them, as I think many of you were, about how fast the job market is changing, the graphics of how quickly certain jobs are going down and knowledge jobs are going up. So I was sitting there in front thinking about when I started with the IB in 2005, and he had all these showing the technology, and Paul referenced this at the very beginning about some of the different things. And I thought, when I came to the IB in September 2005, I took over in January 2006, but the world was already getting flatter. It was already more digitally connected so that people could connect and collaborate and compete from anywhere. So all of that was happening. But at that time, I realized that Facebook, Twitter, cloud computing, LinkedIn, 4G, wireless, ultra-high-speed bandwidth, big data, Skype, iPhones, iPods, iPads, and cell phone apps didn't exist, or they were in their infancy in 2005. So today's world has certainly moved from being interconnected to hyper-connected, and we saw the dangers of that yesterday with Cristobal's talk. So there's a gentleman named Craig Mundy. He's a contemporary of mine, and he hails from Cleveland, Ohio, so a fellow Ohioan. He's currently the senior advisor to Steve Ballmer and the CEO of Microsoft. He says that when the world gets this hyper-connected, the speed by which every job and industry changes goes into a hyper mode as well. The good jobs that will remain will be those that can't be automated or outsourced. There will be jobs that demand or encourage some uniquely creative human flair. And there will be jobs that demand passion and imaginations. In other words, jobs that can only be done by people who love what they do and people who are really adaptable. Those that can change with the times and change with industries. So I truly believe my life has mirrored this pattern. Siva has talked a little bit about my history, but in high school I grew up in Akron, Ohio, and I assumed fearfully that I would stay in Akron, Ohio, that I would go to the local state university and end up with a career in my hometown, which is known as the rubber capital of the world, not something that one aspires to. But instead, I received an appointment to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and that was my ticket out. That was something I said, I don't know what this is all about, but I know I need to be doing something else. I knew I needed to be out and doing something and contributing in a different era. So my first career was as a naval officer. My second career was in business. I worked in consumer products with Procter & Gamble. I received my MBA. And my third career spanned over 20 years in agribusiness, and our mission there was to feed the world. And I have a Master's of Science in agribusiness as well. Some good analogies between the agribusiness industry and the scientific work we do in education. So I worked for two different companies there. I came to Europe in 1992, over 2 decades ago, had five different countries and 5 different jobs during that time. So this is kind of my fourth career, and it's with education and with the IB, our mission to educate the world. And that's what brings me in front of you here today. In between all of this, I've been a part-time teacher, a school board member, president of a school board, fundraiser for the United Way, for my class at the U.S. Naval Academy. But I've learned how to be flexible, how to learn, reinvent myself every few years. It's actually been a lot of fun. So I'm finishing my time with the IB at the end of this year, but I don't really intend to retire. I'll go on and reinvent myself once more again. During my time with the IB, I've come to value and treasure the transformation I saw happening first with my children as they undertook their diploma, and now to the thousands of other students who have been permanently changed as a result of their IB experience. I treasure that. I've gotten to see firsthand from up close how IB students truly undergo a unique experience, which better equips them to tackle global issues in a more creative way than has ever been done in the past. And I really delight in that. I relish in that. We've heard from the student introductions that for the main speakers, their stories, and we know that this is due to their critical thinking, their problem-solving skills, their ability to adapt through life that they've developed during their IB program years. Also, the CAS component, you can see increasingly each conference, each time I visit a school, plays an important role in each student's life, and I like to talk to them as young adults and see how that's made a difference. And I'm proud of the fact that the work that you all do is truly creating global citizens of tomorrow. So now it's time for me to move on and to pass the baton to the next leader, one worthy enough of your trust so that he or she can take the IB forward to its next stage of development. I've always done this throughout my career. I help develop and prepare organizations to move forward, to realize its potential, and then I move on to the next adventure. It's what you do as parents with your children, preparing them to leave the nest and to be independent. It's also a pretty good philosophy, I think, to follow through your career. Don't be afraid of change or the future. Embrace it and nourish it. So let me wrap up by leaving you with something that I hope you'll pass on to your students. It's my personal philosophy that happiness is a journey, not a destination. Bringing joy and passion and optimism to the work you do is not what you get to do when you get to that perfect job or when you get to the top of your department, your school, or your organization. It's how you get to the top. If I've had any success during my career, it's because I found a way to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. I've had as much fun as a naval officer sailing the 7 seas during the Cold War, monitoring Soviets' anti-submarine warfare tactics a la the Hunt for Red October, as I do now traveling and working with students, teachers, and administrators with the IB. I've had my dull moments, but more often than not, I found ways to learn from and enjoy some part of each job. You can't bet your life on some destination. You've got to make the journey work too. So that's why I want to leave you with some wisdom attributed to the famous American author Mark Twain, who said, "Always work like you don't need the money. Always fall in love like you've never been hurt. Always dance like nobody is watching. And always, always live like it's heaven on earth." Finally, I want to thank each and every one of you for all that you do on behalf of the IB and students everywhere. You are the IB, and it's been an honor and a privilege for me to work for you. Thank you.